What's going on, Hello Inspire family? Today we're here with the CEO of the Gather Inspire, Ryan Wilson.
What's up? Good to see you.
What's going on? How you feeling? It's great to sit down and talk with you.
I appreciate the time.
Definitely. So let's get right into it. I didn't grow up in Atlanta, but I love this city and I don't plan on leaving for a long time. So how was it for you growing up here?
I love Atlanta. I didn't fully appreciate it when I was growing up here.
Okay.
But it was one of those things when I left the city, I really started to realize that, like, Atlanta's a really special and important place.
Yeah.
And if you think about other cities across the world, they're normally defined by a thing, right? Like New York is finance, LA is Hollywood.
Yeah.
In Atlanta, we have it all. Like, we have really big businesses.
Yeah.
We have really small businesses. We have colleges and universities. We have, to me, the most important thing, our culture, right? Like, we export our culture more than we export anything else.
Exactly.
And so I'm not going anywhere, right? Because this, to me, is legitimately one of the more important cities in the country.
100%. And to get a little bit more into your childhood, you and your sister watched your dad grow a $100 million business. Did you understand, for the most part, what he was building, or was it like, I don't know, like, Dad, what do you have going on?
So my dad worked for a company for a really long time.
Yeah.
And what I knew growing up was that he worked for Dun & Bradstreet.
Yeah.
I remember, though, and the important lesson in all of this was they started to make a pivot inside of the business, and he saw that there was a chance for him to start his own company to take advantage of that pivot.
Okay.
I remember two people in our basement, and it was the day that he said that he was going to take a shot at being an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And you fast forward, those two people went to several thousand, and by the time they sold that business, it's probably close to 10,000 people across the country. So
that's wild.
Yeah, I knew kind of what was going on, but at the same time, I wasn't in the day-to-day battle, right? I was absorbing a lot, though, right? I mean, if there's one thing I'm always going to be grateful to both my parents for, they exposed us to as much as they possibly could inside of the company. So I didn't go to business school, right? But I went to the Mark Wilson School of Business, and that's been helpful. It really has been.
Okay. Was there any point that you worked in the family business?
Oh yeah, no. My first job was at 14 at a call center. So it was a call center business.
Yeah.
My first job was right there on the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, I started working honestly as soon as I was allowed to legally.
Yeah.
I was there at the company, and that's what I did until I went off to college.
Yeah. So after everything you experienced growing up in Atlanta and going to the business school of Mark Wilson, why did you choose Howard? I mean, my apologies. Why did you choose Georgetown?
I almost chose. That's funny you said, because I almost chose Howard. My mom went to Howard, and at the last minute I made a decision to go to Georgetown, and it really was. There was a lot of things going on, but I went to campus. Yeah. I met some great folks. I knew I wanted to be in D.C. My goal, my entire childhood, was to be an attorney, and so I wanted to be in a city where that could happen. And I don't recommend this at all, what I'm about to say, but it's the truth. I only applied to Howard and to Georgetown, and it was for me. It was DC or bust. Again, I don't recommend that to anybody under any circumstances. But like, that's what happens. And it felt like a good fit. I felt like DC was the place that I needed to be, and I'm forever grateful to the time I was there for 8 years.
Yeah. So when you were in undergrad, you met a man by the name of T.K. Peterson.
Yeah.
What impact has he made on you today?
Oh, no, that's my guy. Look, I think that there's two things to talk about. The first thing is that, like, we were friends in college from freshman year all the way through. We became roommates. There's four of us that lived together. We lived at 1440 36th Street. So our crew still calls each other 1440.
Yeah.
But TK is just a really solid person, right? He was going back to college. When it got time to start the company, I sent an email to him the summer of 2013. I was working here in Atlanta at a law firm. Yeah. And I was like, look, I've got an idea, but I need help building a business model around it. And he had a degree in finance and accounting, right? So that was a skill set that he had. And yeah, it's one thing to be friends with a person, right? But when you get into business, then it really becomes about work ethic and how that person shows up every single day. And I pride myself, like, I work hard. I work.
100%.
But he does too.
Yeah.
And, they say iron sharpens iron. Like, genuinely, I think we've gotten better because we every day are challenging each other to try to figure out how to bring our best game.
Yeah. So after graduated from Georgetown undergrad, you went to law school.
Yeah.
So when you were in law school, you had school going on, you started working at a law firm.
Yeah.
At what point were you like, nah, this might not be for me?
Pretty early on, honestly. My equivalent of freshman year of law school. Mm-hmm. It was a lifelong dream for me. And then when you get there, there were many things about it that I just didn't like, and I was surprised by it.
Yeah.
I came back here and was working at the firm, and it was the same summer that George Zimmerman was on trial for Trayvon Martin's murder. So I was watching that trial while I was at my internship. Yeah. And to make a long story short, he gets acquitted, as we remember. Yeah. And I sent an email to TK saying, hey, look, I want to start this company. I got an idea that is really about bringing people together. And fortunately, he said yes, but there were other parts about law school I didn't like, right? The thing is, being an entrepreneur, you don't necessarily have the right answer. Like you take whatever set of facts exists, and then you're trying to figure out the right answer, right? And you can use whatever information you can to get there. Mm-hmm. What I found in the law was that you get a bunch of facts, right? But then you have to go and look at case law, which is not bad. Research is not a bad thing. Yeah. But it almost felt like I was having to use somebody else's thought to try to get done what I wanted to get done, and not thoughts that I had.
Exactly.
And just the material I didn't connect with in the way that I thought that I would. I mean, it is absolutely for who it's for, but the way of thinking like a lawyer, I don't regret going to law school at all. I've been asked that question before. Law school fundamentally changes the way that you think, and I'm forever appreciative of that.
Yeah. And then we talk a little bit more about the George Zimmerman trial. I was in 3rd grade.
I'm old.
And I remember my friend was up, we were playing Xbox or something. My mom called me downstairs. It was like, come watch. And we were all like, there's no way he's getting off. He literally did what he did, and it was recorded. Like, what else do you need? So I remember us going down and watching and hearing not guilty, and we were all just silent.
Yeah, it was shocking. It was crazy.
It
was crazy.
Yeah, so it's crazy hearing that. That was a fundamental part of your story too. Hearing that
didn't work, man. I was not with it. Yeah. Couldn't get with it. It made me sad that we outcomes like that shouldn't happen. Yeah. And you got to do whatever you can when you're in a moment where you feel uncomfortable to do something about it. So my do something was to try to bring other people together so that we could talk about that, but then talk about whatever else we felt like we needed to discuss.
Exactly. So today we know it as the gathering spot, but what was the original concept?
So what's weird about our story is that like the original concept is honestly in the first paragraph that we ever wrote.
Okay.
Right? I mean, we talked about a space that would have hospitality components of dining. We talked about events. There were other parts about it. We always imagined like more creative and like movie kind of type space. Mm-hmm. But like the core idea, we really haven't changed the core idea. I mean, our belief is that people connect through dining, they connect through work, they connect through experiences. So we have event space, a restaurant, bar, and workspace. Yeah. And that has been the same since we started. So, I mean, 2013 was when we started to sketch the idea. I graduated from law school in 2015, moved back home to Atlanta that year. We started construction in 15 and opened in 16.
Yeah. And why did you choose Atlanta over D.C.?
It goes back to the city being really important. That's not that DC isn't, right? But if you want to start something, this is to me the best city in the world to like start a thing, especially if it's going to be rooted in community and culture. Yeah. And so I wanted to come back to. I mean, my belief then and now was I wanted to have a place where people who were wearing suits every day could sit next to people who wear T-shirts. Yeah. And that doesn't describe a lot of cities, right? So I wanted to be in a place where people know each other across traditional lines of where there's difference. Yeah. And Atlanta made more sense for the first version of it.
100%. And I'm going to look into the camera when I say this, because when I read this was crazy. When y'all were looking for money and raising capital to fund the gathering spot, they were denied 97 times before they got a yes. Yeah. 97 times. Most people don't have the heart or the stomach to even go through that and keep going. What kept y'all sane during that time?
Oh, I mean, look, I felt like everybody that we were talking to were the people that weren't sane. Right? Like, it wasn't about. It didn't shake much of anything for us. And the lesson to me in all of that is that if you have an idea, one, it's not random.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're deeply inspired and convicted to do a thing, there's a reason why that thing exists within you, and you can't treat it as random. And two, I mean, look, respectfully, I'm not the smartest person in the world, right? But like, neither were the people that I was talking to, so I couldn't allow them to take me off of what I felt like was the thing that I needed to make happen. And three, like, if you think about anything that's actually disruptive, almost by definition, people shouldn't understand it. So if you're getting yes super quickly to everything that you're doing, that's probably because people have seen it before. If you're actually doing something different, then like, you should get a no. So that was the attitude I had. I was like, okay, I mean, it wasn't the right opportunity for them. You don't need a yes from everybody. You need a yes from the few people that you need a yes from.
And those are the actual right people that you want.
So, you know, I don't believe in mistakes in this game. You have to take those no's as a part of the process. But again, if you're deep, like if you believe in your soul that you're supposed to be doing something, respectfully, like, who are you to tell me that thing isn't my thing? So on to the next person. How we got to 97, and this is the thing also that I would urge people to consider, is sometimes when a person tells you no, don't internalize or personalize it. They don't hate you. They didn't say it was about you. Ask them, and this is what we would do. We did at that point. We would say, hey, can you refer me to somebody else that may actually like it? And 9 times out of 10, they would.
Yeah.
So I didn't know 97 people. I knew a handful of people, and through that network, they kept introducing me to other folks that it may be a good fit for. That's how we landed in 97.
Yeah. So the initial $3 million, how did that feel once you got that first yes?
So, I mean, our story, again, is not traditional, right? So you read these stories about startups where they get funded and all the cash comes at one time.
Yeah.
We had what I guess would be considered like a rolling close. So we didn't ever see $3 million all at once. It ended up being that much, but it would be 250, 500. It was coming in intervals.
Yeah.
And we were spending it quickly because a lot of it was, 99% of it was for construction.
Yeah.
So someone would invest in us and we would turn around and we're paying, bills almost immediately.
Yeah.
So I never got that feeling of like we closed a round, thank God it's over with.
Yeah.
It was more of we closed a round, or we closed a little bit of a round. Thank God we have an opportunity to continue on.
Yeah.
But I don't get caught up in the fundraising piece of this. A lot of people are talking about that. I wanted to build a good business. And it wasn't so much about how much money we were raising, is that did we have enough to do what we wanted to do? And my goal was if we could get to a place where we had an opportunity to have an opportunity, that was really the thing I needed to be most focused on.
Yeah. And I know you said you aren't really big onto the funding, but can you just talk a little bit about how it's important to know what type of funding to take and not to take?
Oh, yeah, no, this is a really important topic, right? A lot of people think that there's only one type of fund. Like, what gets the most attention is venture capital.
Yeah.
And you got to understand what a venture capitalist is looking for. They're looking for a moonshot, like, very rare idea that's going to grow really, really quickly.
Yeah.
But it's also bank financing, and there's private equity, and there's all different types of debt instruments, right? So you have to look at your model, which is like how the business is going to make money, and then try to match that model with people who like that type of business. And that sort of research, I can't necessarily say it's fun, but it's essential if you're going to bring the right type of capital in the business. Don't obsess over VC money if you don't have a VC backable company.
Okay.
And I'm not saying to discourage anyone, but just like most businesses that are out there are not VC backable businesses because they're not going to grow 100% year over year for forever. They're going to grow at 15 or 20% a year, and that's still a really good business.
Yeah. So it's about having those real conversations with yourself, like, is what I'm building or what I'm trying to build something that's truly backable and able to be funded? Simple as that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the doors to the Gathering Spot opened in 2016. How was that first week kind of like? I know it was crazy. I know it was busy.
Oh, it was ugly. We didn't know what we were doing, right? And so it was chaotic, right? But at the same time, we, I'll probably say this 10 times today, but it's like when you have an opportunity to have an opportunity, that's what you have to be grateful for that. And like, we didn't know everything, and that was okay. The plan was to just do the best that we could do.
Yeah.
And fortunately, that's what we did.
Yeah. Fast forward a couple years to 2020. COVID flipped the world upside down, basically. And somehow y'all still retain 99% of your members. What's the key to holding community together?
Values, right? You got to talk openly about what you care about and why you care about it. And during COVID, right, no one had experienced what that was before ever. So we went into a room. We were like, look, we don't know what we're about to do. And frankly, we don't even know how we're about to do it. But we know why we're going to do it. And if we know why we're going to do it, we will figure out what or how. And we created an effort that we called We All We Got, and we were deploying capital to businesses. We made sure our team had not only their paychecks, but also food. Right? Like, we dove into what TGS has always been about for me, which is about community. So fortunately, people saw that vision and stuck with us, right? But like, tough moments and seasons are going to come in business. You've got to go back to like why you're in business in the first place, and then try to solve problems for people. You got to bring value. And fortunately, during that season, we were able to bring that type of value. And again, fortunately, people stayed with us because of it.
Yeah. And easily during that time, you could have said, no, we got to cover ourselves and make sure we survive. But that's the time where you really stood on your morals and stood on integrity and really made sure that the community was straight. And everybody that poured into the gathering spot got an opportunity to get poured back into.
I mean, that's what our business is, right? So like, there's no version of this that works with us looking out for us. I mean,
yeah.
And I don't think any business can survive like that. Like, you have to deeply care and love. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite quotes in the world is, you can't lead people if you don't love people, right? Like, you can't be a good business if you don't fundamentally love the people that you get a chance to serve every single day. So I didn't look at it as business strategy. I looked at it as like, I know why I'm doing this. Mm-hmm. So how do I do it better? And that's still kind of how I wake up every day. Like, I'm here today. How do I get there?
So after establishing a strong foundation in Atlanta, what made you want to expand back to DC to open the second gathering spot location?
We knew from the beginning, right, that if we were going to take a shot at doing this, that we had to really have like the biggest vision possible. I remember talking to my dad early on in the process, back when we were still just trying to get the first one open. And he said something that was really important. He was like, son, small ideas will keep you small. You have to fight for the best possible version of your idea. And so the best possible version of our idea was trying to build multiple clubs. So like, it's kind of like when you get to high school, right? And you're a freshman and you get to junior year. It's like somebody's saying like, well, you know, how does it feel to be a junior? It's like, look, this was a part of the process, right? And so I'm proud of what I did freshman year. I'm proud of what I did sophomore year, but like, I haven't accomplished what I have come here to do.
Yeah.
DC, LA, and frankly, even where we are right now, like, I haven't accomplished what I came here to do. So we always had that mindset that it wasn't ever about completing freshman year. That's great, right? But like, can you keep going? How can you fulfill, you know, your maximum vision and capacity?
Yeah. And I watched this movie. Have you ever seen Founders? The movie about McDonald's?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
So I remember watching it, and Ray Kroc and the McDonald's brothers, and the McDonald's brothers did not want to expand their business at all. And I know it's hard to keep the same culture across every single location, like LA, DC. Yeah. So what is the most important part for you, keeping the same gathering spot culture and the same idea spread across every single location?
It's interesting, right? Like, I focus more on like values and like things that we're trying to do from a care or service perspective. Yeah. More than I do the experience needs to be the exact same. Now, like in fast food, like everybody wants the same sandwich over and over again, no matter where they are. Yeah. Right. But for what we do, my belief has always been that it needs to be authentic to the city that the thing is in. Mm-hmm. So the menu in LA is not going to be the same menu as here in Atlanta. It's just not, like, those are two different cultures. People move differently, right? So like, we need to be authentic to where we are, not trying to be an Atlanta thing in Los Angeles or an Atlanta thing in DC. Like DC needs to be DC. But what needs to be common are the values and how people approach what the work is every single day. If you do that the right way, then people, I mean, when this happens, right? Like I just was talking to a friend. She did an event in Atlanta last week and just did the event in LA. And the hospitality experience, the care that the team had to make those experiences go well, that was what was in common. But the space is different, the food was different, everything else about it were not the same. So it's what you care about and how you care about it, and telling people about that is what matters.
Yeah. And I don't want to speak for him when I say this, but I have who I call a mentor named Justin, and he has a business called Breaking Bread Productions, and he has, I believe, a weekly event at the Gathering Spot in LA. And I don't know if you two met before, but he speaks highly of you, and he speaks highly of what the Gathering Spot is, and I would say that's a large foundation of their business.
I appreciate him and frankly everybody that, look, going back to even the question about we're nothing but for like a lot of people deciding that they were going to pour in and make the Gathering Spot a possibility. So more than anything else, like I appreciate that sincerely, but like I'm grateful because I've said this a lot, but it's the truth. Like this is not a me thing, it's a we thing. Like the Gathering Spot only exists because a lot of people make it so. Yeah. Me at this point, I had that first leg of the journey that was my like major push. But at this point, this thing is maintained by people that every single week make their mark on what the club can be. So exactly. I appreciate him and genuinely I appreciate everybody that's a part of it.
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember this story, but me and my mom were touring the location in DC, and we didn't expect to see you at all. Didn't even know you were there. So we were walking through one of the offices, somebody's showing, I forgot his name, but you came through the office on the phone busy. He was like, "Oh, what's up, man?" You were like, "I woke up in Atlanta this morning and I might fall asleep in New York. I don't know."
Yeah, we travel a lot because there are now 8 cities where there are Gathering Spot members. Mm-hmm. And so we're hosting things all the time, and I do move around a little bit, but it's fun. I don't even say that as a complaint. I'm grateful. Maybe this is time number 10 to have the opportunity to have an opportunity. Yeah. And if travel is a part of that, then cool.
100%. So we're at the new Gathering Spot location in Midtown, and I don't want to give too much away because it's not open yet, but it's wild. It's wild.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
What's the vision behind this space?
More of the same here. It's about connection. I've always wanted our community to have access to the best. And so the best to me looks like a space that has some new amenities. So this place has a pool, right? It has a really great restaurant. We've got workspace that's a part of it. And it's got great views, right? It's a whole nother type of experience. But in terms of what we're going to be doing here, more of the same. We're going to be connecting people. Yeah. It's going to be a hub of a little bit of everybody coming together to spend time. And what's cool about TGS at this point is that it's both personal and professional, right? Mm-hmm. So I've been to Gathering Spot weddings, and they're Gathering Spot kids, but they're also Gathering Spot business partners and people that found their first investor, right? So we're at a stage of the game where, we really know kind of what our contribution is, and this is about trying to maximize all of those opportunities to connect folks.
Most definitely. What has the controversy over the years done to strengthen the community, and how do you feel about your community basically pouring out and showing a lot of support for you and TK?
Yeah, I don't mind talking about whatever. I mean, any parts of any of this stuff. I mean, we're in the community business, and again, going back to this idea that it's not me, it's we, right? I will forever be grateful for everyone caring enough. One of my favorite quotes is "Fans don't boo nobodies," right? If you think about it, right, like it's the truth though, right? Like if you're a nobody on the team, you don't get any minutes. Yeah. Nobody's gonna boo you. The only people that get booed are people that they think are about to contribute and impact the game.
Exactly.
So even when sometimes there's maybe a negative moment, right, where you're maybe receiving cheers or boos, right? Know that like that's because people care enough to be able to contribute their voice. Yeah. And you can't take that for granted. So we went through a moment where, fortunately for us, right, a lot of folks were in support of us. And I'm grateful that people cared enough to be supportive, frankly, because everybody's busy. Everybody has their set of things that matter to them. And the fact that people were willing to take the time out to express that this was important to them enough to lend some time to it, I'm grateful for that.
100%.
And we learned, like you do in any season of business, you learn a lot through different seasons. But that's how I look at all of this stuff, right? Like, there are different chapters of, I mean, it's now been a decade, right? So different chapters of this thing, opening, raising capital, COVID, right? Being acquired and reacquiring. There's all types of seasons where controversy or trouble, challenge comes. And it's really about how you navigate all of it, which is most important. Yeah. And stay resolved to the fact that, like, it's going to be okay. Right? Time keeps ticking. You just got to stay in the fight.
So I read somewhere this morning that Obama said AI can now, I believe he said, outprogram 60 to 70% of computer programmers. And I know TGS is sitting around more like a physical model and face-to-face interaction, but how are you making sure that the Gathering Spot is staying ahead of the curve when it comes to AI and basically this digital revolution we're in right now?
Oh, we're investing heavily in the space, right? And I have a lot of very specific thoughts about how AI is going to impact community building broadly, but I'm not leaning away from it. I'm leaning straight into it. And I think, too, that, I mean, like with any big shift, right, this is a massive paradigm shift in the way 100%. That we can't approach it with fear. And good entrepreneurs skate, you hear this analogy all the time, but you skate to where the puck is going, not where it is. So that's what we're doing, right? We're skating to where the puck is going.
What has being a husband and a father taught you?
It's my most important job, right? Like, this entrepreneurship stuff, business is very important to me, but like, what my life is actually going to be judged on is how I showed up in that space with my family. So to me, it totally helped to reorient what real purpose and I really need to be focused on, right, is my family, right? Yeah. So again, this business is important to me, but I'm okay if people say that I was a bad CEO. I'll live, but like, I want my wife to say that I was a good husband. I want my kids to say that I was a good father.
Exactly. Because I know how important it was for me to have my father in my life, because that's the main reason why I got sent from California to Atlanta. Yeah. Because I was going through some stuff with my mom in California, and she thought, okay, it's time for you to go spend some time with your father, and now we're here. And that was one of the greatest decisions my mom ever made, was sending me with my dad, because I believe it's important for every, not just young black man, but every man in general to have their father in their life.
Yeah, man, look, at the end of the day, family, right, in community, it's like how we show up and how we make people feel. That's what people, when they stand up at your funeral, they're not going to talk about the titles you had and how much money you made. They're going to talk about the impact that you had on people. Yeah. And I think sometimes people forget that in the game, right? They start chasing all that other stuff, but like, that's not how this thing gets recorded. Exactly. At all. I mean, people actually talk about all the opposite. Even when you had all those other things, right? I mean, no one at my funeral is going to stand up and say, "Here lies the CEO of the Gathering Spot," right? Like, exactly. I would hope that they would talk about me differently, about the stuff that I actually cared about. And so I don't want to be dead to be having to, or close to it, to be having that revelation. I want to be living in that purpose right now.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think this next question is an important one, especially with the times we're in right now. So one of my close friends, she had a situation going on right before the presidential election. And then when the presidential election happened with her business, she kind of got really scared, and she was like, I think this is going to really stop everything I have going on and negatively impact me. But I was having a conversation with her and telling her, like, no, I think this is reiterating how harder you need to go, and you're more important than ever now. So what is your advice to young entrepreneurs, especially from underrepresented communities today?
Look, I mean, two things. First, it's okay to be recognizing that, like, this is difficult. There's aspects of it that are difficult. Take care of yourself, right? And like, I don't think ignoring it or acting like that's not the case does anything to help anybody. Yeah. But okay, so once you acknowledge it, now it's like, okay, so what? What are we going to do about it? And entrepreneurship is about pivoting, right? It's about figuring it out and understanding too that from the tradition that that at least I come from, like being resilient and being in touch with the fact that like I come from a long continuum of people that like have figured it out. Well, it's now my shot to figure out how to deal with this set of circumstances.
Exactly.
And we'll be okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's going to be pleasant, right? Like, I didn't say that that's enjoyable, but I am saying that, like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I don't have another choice, right? Like, at a certain point, you got to get to a place where it's like, I don't have a choice but to be okay.
You made it this far, it's like, you can't go back.
Well, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, so when that's your starting point, you have a whole different orientation to the game.
Most
like,
definitely.
I'm not going anywhere, so now what?
Yeah.
Now, when you start talking like you might go somewhere, then the things start to, that conversation is different. But I don't start there. I start with like, I have to figure this out.
Yeah.
Point blank, period.
Most definitely. What inspires you?
My community inspires me.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these same principles, right? Like people are resilient. People figure it out. I'm inspired by the fact that like people wake up every single day against like very tough circumstances and figure it out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's not. We deal with a lot of different folks at TGS, but what I am inspired by I'm inspired by people that have a vision for a thing and go make it happen.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, genuinely, it sounds simple, right? But there's so many people that don't live that way, right?
Yeah.
That are living afraid and worrying about, if they should do this, that, or the other. As far as I understand, I only get a chance to do life one time, and so people that I see that approach the game like that, understanding that there are no real do-overs in this. Those are the people that I gravitate to and that inspire my journey every day.
Yeah. And I saw the response you had to the video of going around of Wallow the other day. Why is that conversation so important to you?
We have to take care of one another, right? Yeah. And taking care of one another is also about holding each other accountable. But we should not unfairly critique anybody in our community, right? There are some really tough stats that are out there. Most black-owned businesses, for example, don't employ anybody. And so if you look at what's going on right now, and I hope this doesn't sound but so academic or policy driven. I think some of this stuff is important, right? So two things are happening right now that we have to be aware of. The first thing is that one of the main ways that black folks got into the middle class was through government work, right? A good government job. The second thing is that for the only other real opportunity that we've seen is in the private sector. Okay, so what happened? If you look at what's going on in the world, there's a complete erosion of public sector jobs, of government jobs.
Yeah.
They're also in this anti-DEI environment is a ton of de-emphasis around those jobs being also available in the private sector. Okay, we have to employ one another. We have to have more than that 96% of businesses that don't employ anyone right now employ folks, so that there is another alternative than those other two.
Exactly.
So when we see rhetoric that isn't encouraging that, but is actually suggesting that people should be making a choice not to support a company, we have to stand in that gap and say, hey, no, look, I'm not trying to say that whatever your critique is not legit. It may be, but we ultimately need to see these businesses be successful.
Exactly.
And it's in all of our interest to figure that out.
Yeah.
And plus, keep that same energy, right? Like, I fly all the time. I've had recently many flights that have been late, right? Many things that just don't go well. I don't go on the internet and bash any company, right? So if I'm not going to have that energy somewhere else, I shouldn't have it inside of my community either. And again, we got to hold each other accountable.
Yeah, and I think these conversations are really mandatory to have, and it's good to have a positive conversation without people taking it the wrong way or thinking, oh, you have a problem with Wallow. And like, no, these are positive conversations.
I talk to Wallow. We don't have a problem.
Exactly.
Like it's okay for us to have discussions with one another. No, we talk the same day. Yeah. Right? There's no personal issue.
Yeah.
At the time, we were having an open disagreement about how to talk about the same thing. But ultimately, it's because we both care about it, right? Again, fans don't boo nobody. We wouldn't be talking about something that wasn't important to both of us. But it's okay to have a constructive dialogue and sometimes disagree, right? But at the end of the day, on this business piece, we got to get, to me, very, very intentional about understanding that, like, it's not going to just happen by us hoping, right? Like, we're going to have to go make it happen.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I just want to let you know, you're one of the people that I hold like a high level of respect for.
I appreciate you,
And
bro.
while I'm on my way up in this business world, you're one of the people that I'm paying very close attention to.
I appreciate you, man. And, like, congratulations and keep going. And there's ways for me to be supportive. Like, I know this camera here, it's not about that. To me, genuinely, right, we have a responsibility to one another, right? Because it's less about me, right? But knowing you be successful will inspire somebody else, right, to pursue whatever it is that they're excited about. Mm-hmm. And that's how good things happen. It's a very simple idea, right? But, like, it is the idea that, to me, drives how growth and progress actually occurs. Yeah. So, no, I appreciate you having this platform. And going back to the beginning of our journey, TK and I made a promise, right, that if we were going to make time for all the big global content companies, that we would make time for small businesses like us and our community that were doing the same thing, right? So if I can make time for that, I can make time for this. And, like, I'm grateful that you have selected me to be on your platform. You don't have to do that. Yeah. But we got to take care of one another better because, again, at the end of the day, one, that's all anybody's going to remember anyway. And two, I want to see businesses like yours grow because that means you're going to employ people. That means that you're going to inspire other folks to go try stuff. Like, we need that, right? So this is less of just like a hope it works out and me like, I really need it to work out. We need it to work out sort of moment. So, no, thanks for having me on.
100%.
Anytime.
Appreciate it.
See you soon.